Hello, hello. Christina here with another episode, I guess, or installment, whatever we want to call it, of Fully Developed. This time we are going to talk about my Predators Motorcycle Club series, which ended up being a very different vibe than what I initially set out to write. In addition to ending up a series of like in and of itself, which it was never supposed to be. So let's get into it. So, Predators Motorcycle Club series, that's me telling you one of the tropes right there, Motorcycle Club. Or is that a trope or a subgenre? I don't know. That might be considered a subgenre of romance. I've seen some people call it trope, some people call it subgenre. Either way, it is a motorcycle club romance. We have two books, No Longer Afraid and Raised by Wolves. And these books, I would call them enemies to lovers. We've got a little bit of like mystery thriller, suspense aspect, definitely some found family. And this series actually ties very, very heavily into the Rosa series, which ties heavily into the High Stakes series, all of which were accidents. And I don't know how I keep ending up here where I am just kind of going with the flow and kind of accidentally end up connecting things that were never meant to be connected. But that's it's just how my brain works, and it just does what it does sometimes. And I don't really have a lot of how am I kidding? I don't have any control over it. It just happens, and I have a love hate relationship with that. So here are the covers for those books, book one and book two. I might do that. I'm recording and it's mirrored, so I actually don't know which side is going to make more sense to put them up. But we have book one and book two. Again, No Longer Afraid, Raised by Wolves. I actually had a custom shoot for this series, which I always love, love, love when I get the opportunity to do the visuals or photos, the little video inserts, and all of that were shot by Portia at Brownstock. She is absolutely phenomenal. And she is a romance reader, which is always, always, always so good because I think that because she is a reader of the genre and because she enjoys my work, she's able to go, it's like she's got this advantage, or not even, not advantage makes it sound like something that she doesn't work for. What I mean by that is more that she has this insight and she has this like this extra level of talent that she's able to bring with it. Like it's like this other layer of depth that she's able to bring to the photo shoot to really get, to really just get the vibes, just get the vibes down. And I love the shoot. I love both models. I just I was really in my bag, like with the whole visual and promo rollout and everything surrounding this, which I needed to be because around writing this series, this was kind of right at the beginning of like a really tough period for me. Like these last few years in general have just been really hard for me, like for various reasons, not even really related to book stuff. Which is how we ended up with two books. Or I, I think the fact that we ended up with two books kind of furthered my anxiety, because it was never intended to be that way, and I don't like doing that. I don't like writing cliffhangers. I really don't like writing series that depend on each other. Like I don't like writing when I write a series. I like for them to be a series of standalones. I do not like a cliffhanger. I do not like, well, I put this book out and the story isn't finished, so I gotta put out the other book. Baby, the stress, not my favorite thing by any means. But it was really called for with this story, and so I had to go with it. Um, Initially, it was supposed to be really, really fun, really sexy, super duper focused on the club, super duper focused on, just kind of that family vibe, and getting lots and lots of the motorcycles and lots of their shenanigans and everything that they get into. And then those freaking roads, like that snuck itself into my brain, and we ended up with just a completely different story. And don't get me wrong, I love the story that we ended up with, but it was so difficult. It was so difficult to write, and not just because of the subject matter. It's these plot lines, keeping everything together, making it engaging, trying to bridge the gap for people who that may not really be their favorite type of vibe. But of course, you still want them to enjoy the story. You still want them to enjoy, the experience with the book. And so it was just a lot. It was just a lot. And if you have read this series, when I ended book one, I didn't even know who had taken on it. I didn't know who had taken him. There was I'm probably telling on myself, but often when I'm writing this stuff, I have no idea what's coming next. Sometimes I do know, but oftentimes I have seen, like I've seen and developed and played chapters in my head, like 5 chapters ahead. But between chapter 2 and 6, I have no clue how I'm going to get from point A to point E. I, who who freaking knows? Not me. But somehow somehow I end up figuring it out. Somehow, some way I manage. So I'm gonna read the synopsis for both books. So this is for No Longer Afraid. Predators, a name, a definition that was never supposed to be a triumph, but a condemnation. A reminder of a certain place in the world, of a responsibility to the other living beings in the ecosystem. As second in command of the Predators Motorcycle Club, Tatiana Tate is well versed in both the expectations and reality of sustaining her way of life. In the wake of a tragedy that shook the whole organization, she's had no issue stepping into power beside her lifelong friend, her brother. But even in the midst of their efforts to rebuild, the need for revenge against an unknown hunter looms in the shadows. Good thing the shadows are more than familiar to Onyx. He thrives there on the fringes, with no place to truly call home. Orphaned by cruel decisions made before he was born, he's the perfect secret weapon in the club's struggle against an unidentified foe with a mostly ambiguous agenda. They want the predators wiped out. That much is clear. But nobody with predator ink goes down without a fight. Even the strongest prey isn't immune to a determined predator. But wise prey studies until they are no longer and then raised by wolves. Danger. Something Onyx has never been a stranger to, never strayed far from, despite his best efforts otherwise. This time, though, the stakes are higher than ever before, when his past is threatening to touch and destroy everything he's grown to care for. The only choice is to face it head on, a task Tati is more than willing to share. Unanswered questions and unexpected attacks are jeopardizing the Predator organization from all sides, and she'll do whatever it takes to protect the people she loves, including peeling back secrets, lies, and betrayals, layer by layer. Shared ink makes them family, but as the truth is unturned, Onyx and Tati will discover that their connection runs deeper than either of them knows. The motivations may differ, but the fight is the same, against an enemy with bigger teeth and sharper claws. When thrown to the wolves, they'll need more than strength to survive. So, this started like the genesis of the series so many years ago. So many years ago, back when I had my group. And there were people in the group, and I well, forgive me if you were one of those people. I promise you, charges to my head, not my heart. I cannot remember who mentioned it, but they were like, have you ever considered writing Motorcycle Club Romance? And I was like, what is Motorcycle Club Romance? And they were like, think Biker Boys, the movie with Tyrese. And I was like, I still don't know what that is because I had never seen the movie. But it stuck with me, like the suggestion stuck with me. And we've had, the TV shows and stuff. You got Sons of Anarchy, what's the other one? I can't think of the other one, but you have them, and then you have characters on TV, which I'm a TV head. I'm a big TV girl, and so like I would see stuff like that. You see the edits and stuff online, on social media, and it's like it kind of sets it in motion for you, right? And you see biker bars, and you see stuff like that, and it just kind of gets the wheels rolling. It gets the brain going, right? And so I had all of that in my mind, and bring all of that forward. Like I said, this was years ago, back when I had my original group on Facebook. So this was maybe 2016, 2015, maybe 2015. It may have been let's call it 2016 to be safe. Spring forward to what, 2021, 2020, 2020, 2021, somewhere up in there, when I write the Vegas Night series. And through the process of, the Vegas Night series, it's like I'm thinking through, okay, what type of people would be, there in Vegas, who would be involved in kind of the nightlife, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like how do we Like, how does all of this work out? How do we pull this all together? And I had written the roses, and Tamra, was such a badass on her bike, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm bike, and we ride blue. And he was so compelling. He was so compelling. Like, the thought of him, the thought of his group, the thought of his second in command, Miss Tatiana Tate, just would not leave me. And so she became, she became the focus in my head. And it's like, what is her story? Like, what do we do? How do we bring this together? And in my head, the vibe was going to be very similar to, to Maybe One More Time. It was going to be very, very like that book. And that clearly is not what happened, like, at all. But again, I had a good time with them. And so that's not a complaint by any means. It's just really still not what I really planned to do. And I feel like I still need to actually write my motorcycle club series that does have more of that vibe that was initially supposed to be. The Predators Motorcycle Club series works perfectly for the reader who is looking for Black romance with like this layer of kind of grittiness, sexiness, darkness to it. The mystery thriller kind of aspect when you bring in the roses, and then all of these kind of bringing in people's past and their hidden identities, and uncovering these family secrets. And like, if that's your vibe, you like your romance with a little more action, a little more suspense, a little more, a few more trigger warnings, I should say, just honestly speaking, Predators Motorcycle Club might be the romance series for you. Okay, I'm gonna read a sample. Okay, 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 okay. Some say Onyx is the manifestation of a demon, imprisoned in the stone during the day, and at night wielder of terror and nightmare. And others consider it a symbol of protection from evil. There's harmony between the layers under the surface. I went to sleep with that shit on my mind and woke up with it too, staring up at the shadows of my ceiling in the dark, pondering. I had no idea what was under the surface with Onyx, but whatever it was there in abundance, bubbling up and ready to spill over, no matter how outwardly controlled he seemed. I felt it, and more than that, I saw it in his eyes. I just didn't know what it was. That's what gnawed at me. Beside me, Kev stirred, spurring me to slip away, leaving the bed before he had a chance to try to pull me close. I didn't need to cuddle. I needed to think. The leathered granite floors were a welcome contrast against my bare feet as I padded down the hall, in no hurry to get anywhere. What I needed was quiet, a moment of stillness in the midst of so much happening. There was always something happening lately. To be expected, I guess, as Predator's vice president. But this level of responsibility so suddenly, it was enough to overwhelm anybody. Brandon and I had still been in the process of being groomed for our position. Being shoved out of the nest in the manner we had wasn't ideal, to say the least. But there was no room for our anxieties. Action. Swiftly. Not only was there the club to be run with its own politics and rules and culture, there was the business to run as well, with multiple holdings in the works. Legitimacy was paramount. We were finishing the work our fathers started, of having something concrete. Yes, the club had survived this long based on the usual sources of income, but if we could finish putting the processes in place for our members, and shit, other people too, to actually build something, it would be groundbreaking. It was just so, which was why, instead of curling up to the handsome man in my bed or waking him to request his head between my legs, I found myself outside on the balcony, staring off into the sky as I watched the sun start its daily masterpiece. As colors crept across the atmosphere in ombre streaks, my mind drifted from their general splendor to how beautifully they might blend on the skin. So I was right back to Ted, right back to Onyx, his canvas. There had to be a reason that thorn tattoo bothered me so much. Had I seen it before on someone else? When I closed my eyes, there was a memory that lingered just on the fringes of my peripheral thoughts, one I couldn't bring into focus. Frustrated, I let my eyes open, glaring across the painted sky. I needed more details. Details I didn't have. Shit. I bet Tali will remember. And there we are. My battery is about to die. So it is time for me to let this go. If you have read the Predator series and you loved it, Drop your thoughts below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I really do gotta go. I don't want this camera to die on me. Bye. Frustrated, I let my eyes glaring across. I needed more details. I bet Tali would. And there we are. My battery is about to die. So it is time for me to let this go. If you have read the Predator series and you loved it, drop your thoughts below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I really do gotta go. I don't want this camera to die on me. Bye.